Except on the International Space Station, where Honeywell provides an atmosphere for astronauts to breathe. But how do you create a breathable atmosphere where none exists? Let's find out in this episode of How to Build a Spaceship. There are two big things to deal with when it comes to making sure astronauts can breathe on the space station, or in the future, in deep space habitats and on Mars. Providing oxygen to inhale and getting rid of the carbon dioxide they exhale. Why can't we just use plants to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere on the space station like what happens here on Earth?
Unfortunately, plants are large, heavy, and require light, food, and water. Plants are also a lot less reliable. You don't want your astronauts suffocating because they forgot to water their plants.
Conveniently, carbon dioxide that we exhale is made up of carbon and oxygen, so we can recycle it. But first we have to capture the carbon dioxide out of the air. To do that, Honeywell uses salt. Okay, so not the salt you put on your food, but rather a special kind of carbon dioxide-loving salt that stays liquid at room temperature. As the air moves through this liquid, the carbon dioxide sticks to it. The salt is then heated to release the carbon dioxide. The oxygen generation system combines this carbon dioxide with hydrogen, creating methane and water. The water is split into hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen is pumped back into the air for the astronauts to breathe, while the hydrogen is recycled back into the oxygen generation system. Meanwhile, the methane is split apart into carbon and hydrogen at temperatures over 1,000 degrees Celsius. This hydrogen is also recycled back into the oxygen generation system, while the carbon ends up in the form of these little bricks. This is super pure carbon, which is useful for things like power lines, brakes, and even building materials on the surface of Mars.
On the Moon or Mars, since this carbon is strong, and since pure carbon is good at blocking harmful radiation, it would make a good protective building material.
What percentage of the air that is reclaimed on the space station can be recycled for astronauts to breathe? And do you have to top up the air every now and then?
Right now, we can recover 50% of oxygen from carbon dioxide, but Honeywell is developing systems that will be able to recover 100% of that oxygen for future astronauts on the Moon or Mars. I'm Phoebe Henson, and I'm a proud space nerd.
And that's how you make a breathable atmosphere in space. Just don't forget to put on your spacesuit when you go outside.